Hi guys, it's Kristine with Queen City Stamp Art, and I'm back today. It's day 4 of the 12 Days of Christmas card series, and today we're going to be using the Merry Moose bundle to create this really cute, cozy Christmas card. So I wanted to talk a little bit before we get started about how you can maximize your designer series paper when you're making cards in multiple. So this card uses a full panel, a full front panel of the Toile Tidings designer series paper. This paper is really beautiful. It's in the August-December mini catalog, and it comes in several different patterns. So you've got like this holly leaf, it's got some wild animal toile, it has like a little farm and village scene toile, and it also has a stripe, a really nice bold stripe, and then this cute little buffalo check plaid. Now, all of the papers are red, real red on one side and garden green on the other side. So you get a really nice variety of paper. And this card would actually be adorable on any of these patterns, but I picked the buffalo check because I really love that one. So there's 2 sheets of each pattern in the packet. And if I were going to be making multiples of this card, I would be able to cut 1 sheet and get 6 of these big buffalo check panels. Then left over, I'd have these little 1.5 by 4 inch strips. And you can use these to make cards too, and I'm going to show you a little card at the end that I used to make a card like this, but just using this strip. So you can get, basically in a pack of the Toile Tidings paper, you could get 12 panels like this to make this card, and then you'd have 6 of these little pieces left over to make 6 more. So you could get 18 cards out of 2 sheets of designer series paper, just based on how you cut it. So these panels measure 4 by 5 1/4, and this little panel measures 1.5 by 4. So this is the leftover piece. After you cut the big ones, these little pieces are left over. You get 3 off of each sheet. So anyway, that's just some math to show you how you can maximize your designer series paper. And as I said, you could get way more cards out of that packet. If you wanted to substitute this little stripe instead, you totally could. And then that gives you another 12 cards. So you could get a huge amount of cards, even using full panels of designer series paper out of 1 pack of designer series paper, 12 by 12. So let's get making this adorable card. So today we're going to be using a base card in Very Vanilla, because the background of this pattern paper is a vanilla color. It's not bright white. So we're going to match that with this. And we're just going to use our flat adhesive, our tape runner here, to add this panel flat to the base card. Just like this. And then we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to be using a circle that I die cut with the layered, stitched and layered shape dies. And we're going to be using Crumb Cake Just Jade. This is one of the new in colors. Crumb Cake, real red, and a little strip of Very Vanilla for the sentiment. So let's start with the Shaded Spruce. So Shaded Spruce is the darker version of Just Jade. And I like this color because it does give a pine feel, because pine is kind of a bluer green. It's not as much of a warm green as it is a cool green. And we're just going to stamp a couple of trees. Onto that layer and let that dry, because this is a pretty juicy ink pad. Then we're going to move over to the moose, and we're going to stamp him in soft suede. And for this card, I'm using the outline of the moose instead of the silhouette, just like that. And then we're going to use the real red ink pad to stamp a little scarf for the moose, just on this little scrap. And then we're going to use the real red also for the sentiment. And I'm just going to stamp that on this little strip of cardstock here like that. And that's it for the stamping for this piece. So this would be a really easy card to do multiples of. We're going to use the punch. Bring this in now. And we're going to punch out this moose. And when I line up the moose, I like to line up his feet first into all the little foot slots. And then I just pivot him slightly to get his nose and antlers lined up properly. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Then we're going to put this card together. So I think what we'll do first is we'll fussy cut the little scarf out, And when I cut the scarf, it's a super easy little cut. You just kind of leave a little border around the edge of the stamped image. And this attaches to his little neck with some tape runner adhesive. It's pretty easy to cut out. You could do these, you could stamp a bunch of scarves and just cut them out in front of the TV. Just like that. And then we're also going to trim the edge of the sentiment at an upward angle. I've been liking this finish on sentiment strips lately. It's really simple. It's a little easier than that fishtail kind of end, and it just gives it a nice finished look. So now we have all the little pieces in order to put this together. So this is a really fast, easy card again. A great one for making multiples. And if you use that little cutting trick, you can even get a few extra cards, and I'm going to show you that sample at the end of the extra card that I made. So I'm just lining this up sort of toward the top like that, and then I'm going to glue this flat to the cardstock also, just like this, just like that. And I'm kind of lining it up with this so that it's nice and straight. Then I'm going to put some dimensional adhesive on the back of the moose, but before I do, I'm going to put a scarf on. So I'm just going to flip the scarf over and put a little bit of tape runner on the back of the scarf and then attach it to his neck so that the tails of it kind of dangle between his front legs, just like that. Then we'll put some dimensionals on this and pop him up off the card front. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up this back front leg with the edge of the sentiment strip to sort of hide the unfinished look of that. And then I'm lining his feet up with the little checks on the paper, on the designer series paper, just like that. And then to finish this one, we're going to add some little red rhinestones. Just a few. We'll put one here by the sentiment to bring the eye to the sentiment. And then we'll add a couple up in the trees, like that. And that's the finished card. So cute, so simple, and really easy to put together. You could do, like I said, tons of these very quickly just by working in an assembly line fashion where you do all your stamping and then all of your assembly. You cut, stamp, and assemble, and you can get a bunch of these cards done very quickly. And then, of course, you'd want to stamp probably a sentiment on the inside and then maybe a tree or two on the envelope to finish it off. Now, the additional card that I made using the little strip that I talked about, where's that little strip? Right here. So as I said, this was the little leftover piece that I had. I had 3 of these from 1 sheet of cardstock, so you'd have 6 from the 2 sheets because you get 2 sheets of each pattern in the paper packet. And I put this card together. So this is very similar. Now you could do the same little ensemble on the front of this, but you'd cover a lot of the designer series paper. So what I did was I cut a smaller circle from that same die, the stitched layer dies, or stitch shape dies. I cut the next smallest circle, put a couple trees on that, and just made a smaller cluster of visual here, just so that more of this paper would show. So this is another option, and you can make 6 of these out of 2 sheets, and this is also a really cute card. I kind of eliminated these 2 rhinestones. I just left one there because this is a smaller cluster, like I said, and I think it just balances it more nicely if you just have one. But you know, do whatever you like, of course. Add some linen thread, maybe a little linen thread bow or something. Just an extra idea to share using this and to use up this last little scrap of that cute buffalo check paper. So I hope you enjoyed the card for today. If you need any of these supplies and want to go shopping, I am offering that free paper pumpkin kit, or a chance to win that free paper pumpkin kit, I should say. The link to my shop is in the comments, or at least an address that you can copy and paste into your browser. And the host code that you would need to use in order to enter the contest is also in the comments. So thanks for taking a look today. Don't forget, the recipe is also at the blog, so go to Queen City Stamp Art and click on the post for this, click on the blog tab and then the post for this card, and you'll be able to download a free recipe sheet for this card as well. Thanks so much for visiting today.